Well, for the first time on the channel, I'm pleased to present a Sanyo 20EZ. Now, this came out of the Mario Brothers cabinet that I recently picked up, and it's, from what I can tell, it's all original. And even being, 40 years old now, the picture tube has absolutely zero screen burn. Really tremendously amazing. And as far as the frame here, the frame is all rusted. I had to fight to get the screws out. But this was sitting in the machine, not vertically. It was in there, horizontally, because Mario Brothers is a horizontal game. And with this thing sitting in the machine this way, it had a bunch of mice in there because the black cardboard bezel that goes around the tube, half of it was completely eaten off. The whole bottom part of the cardboard was completely eaten away, as well as the black plastic flap on the back that kind of covers the back of the monitor to keep the marquee light from bleeding down inside the cabinet. That was chewed in half. So it definitely had some rodents living inside the cabinet at some point. And also somebody removed the flyback cage. They had this out again at some point in the past. But because one thing that helped this chassis not get damaged was this thing was in the cabinet facing horizontal, not vertical like this. So the rodents weren't able to really, deposit their excretions on the chassis itself, because the tube and the chassis were sitting in there like this. So because this was mounted vertically in the cabinet instead of horizontally like this, it kind of saved all the chassis electronics and stuff and all that. So this does operate and work despite having all of the rusty frame. Let me see here if I can try something here. No, I was going to try and turn on the camera has a light, and I'm not sure really if I can turn the light on here. Now, I'm not sure, but anyway, it's all rusty around here, and I was just trying to turn the light on to get you a little bit more idea. But it's down here, you can really see how rusty the frame is. It's not a big deal. I'm not really going to worry too much about it. I can Scotch-Brite all this off and clean it and spray it with a clear and keep it from rusting again. But you can see that our frame here by the HOT is rusty. I'll have to clean that up too. That might be outside the scope of this video. We're just going to show for this video how to repair, test, and cap, and what to look for and everything on the 20EZ. So, this is completely original, even though it's been out before, obviously. All of the original caps, I think it's been untouched, no reflow, no nothing, after all this time, and it needs to be done because what we have here is 1, 2, 3. Okay, I already had it on, so you didn't hear much high voltage, but dun dun dun, vertical collapse. So, I'm 99.9% sure it's just simply caused by bad caps, but we're going to take this out of here and go over everything and see what we can figure out. I just hooked up the TPG so it gets a video signal. Some of these chassis and monitors don't like running without a video signal, so to negate any possible damage, I just always turn on a video signal when possible. And I have an original Nintendo isolation transformer here that puts out the 100 volts that this thing needs. So you see 100 volts AC. These run on 100 volts AC. Now you can run them on 120, but it's not a good idea. So I have this out of an old cabinet that was destroyed that I use for just such an occasion for these Sanyos, and I also use these for the I'm blanking on it now. The ones out of the Nintendo Red Tents and the Midway Nintendo conversion cabs, the Sharp XM 1801 and the 2001N. That's what I use this for. I'm getting old. So sometimes the vertical collapse can be caused by the service switch. You can see here that the service switch is in norm. Hang on a second. Wait a minute. I never looked at that. I was just kind of playing this, by ear. And the service switch, when the service switch is in service mode, it can cause collapse. And it's obviously not in the norm set position. Norm is right there. Oh. What do you think it's possible if I move this over to the norm position, that if I turn this back on, it won't be collapsed anymore? Well, that won't make an interesting video. I'm hoping not. I just realized it's not even in the norm position. Let's try this again. Still plugged in here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. No, collapsed. Okay, good. So yeah, sometimes if that switch is in the service position instead of the norm position, it can cause collapse. Okay, so I'm still confident that we have either bad solder joints or bad caps. So before I get this off the tube, the reason I actually have it on the tube here, starting the video off, as opposed to having the chassis on the bench already like I normally do, is because I want to talk about the condition of this chassis, and not this specific one, but the 20EZ in general. It's very brittle. And by brittle, I mean just simply popping it out of the little plastic standoffs here, just trying to pop it off the standoffs, that can cause this to crack. And once you've cracked this thing, you are going to be hating life because it could be cracked anywhere. It's very important that when you remove the 20EZ from the frame, you do it very, very carefully. And what I recommend doing is actually popping these out from the bottom side, turn the entire thing upside down, and pop these out from the bottom side, and then remove them from the actual physical chassis after the chassis is off the frame. So we can take the entire thing and turn it upside down and pop these little standoffs that are all around the thing off from the underside. You squeeze the little tabs and pop it out, and do them all one at a time. Be very, very careful, because like I say, it's very brittle and it's very easy to crack the actual physical board. So pop them all out from the bottom side, slide it out, and otherwise it's fairly self-explanatory. Now you do have to manually discharge the 20EZ. So that being said, I'm going to grab one of my alligator clips here. We're just going to clip this on the dag, which is up here, right there. Okay, let's grab my screwdriver and we'll clip this on the screwdriver, and we will stick this under here. We should hear a nice little pop. Oh, there it was. You heard it. Little pop. Now we can remove the cup. There we go. And one more time. Okay, no sparky, no sparky. That's good. Now I'm going to take this and just leave this connected to the anode hole so the static in the air doesn't recharge the tube, just like so. Now it stands to reason that if you don't know what you're doing, don't do this. Do not attempt what you're seeing here unless you know what you're doing, because this is very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. That won't stay in there, will it? That hole's not deep enough. That's better, okay. So we got that done. Let's go ahead and loosen this ground screw if I can. Okay, man, that is rusted on there. And let's remove that ground, spin this around, and remove the dag off the neck, and then it kind of fishes through here. Which is not always easy. There we go. Now we can remove the actual neck itself. Just put your finger, index finger and thumb on each side and just kind of push it straight back like that. It slides down. And we'll have to go through here and untangle all the wires and get them out of the little standoffs here. And it's just a nightmare trying to get this thing disconnected. So there's a bunch of connections here for the audio amplification circuit, but they're all labeled. So for instance, we pull this one off of here. It says JB, and there's a JB on the board here. So you really can't mess these up. So, I mean, you can, but pay attention to what you're doing. So we have to go through here and get all the wires out of these little holders here. And it's never easy. Even though they call it a Sanyo 20EZ, I think it's a big joke that Nintendo played on us, because this is anything but easy trying to get this out of here. Alright, so we need to clip the wires here for the transformer for the audio circuit. This is the power for the audio circuit, and it runs to this transformer here, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to get these wires out of this thing. There we go. Now we got to go through here and get these wires off of here. And of course you could just pop this off from the bottom side. These are these little standoff pegs as well. You can just pop them out from the bottom, but I find it's easier just to get the wires out this way. Now, sorry for the shaky cam here, but not really any way for me to show this without the shaky cam. It's a nightmare trying to do this, because when you think you've got it fixed and you want to put it back together for testing, we'll disconnect our D-dowels, there we go. You got to go through all this just to hook it back up, set it back in place, turn it on. Oh, it doesn't work, take it back out again. It's just, I hate working on these things. Okay, let's take our remote board adjustment board out of here. Just slots in here like this. Slots in one side, and then one screw holds it in the other side. So that should be all of our wires loose here. They got a twist tie. So there's that. Here's our power. Gotta get that through here. And let's examine this, make sure it's in good shape. Yep, that's all in good shape. All right. Okay. This stays with this. We're going to recap this too as part of the recap. And I might as well just take it out, I guess, because the cap kit that I have has the caps to recap the audio board too. So let's get that off of here. Again, it's just one screw that holds it in place, and then it's held in with the other little clamps around the outside. Two metal clamp screws go around the outside, round the outside, round the outside. Okay. And if we look here in the corner, it is the corner of the PCB goes into a slot in this side. So again, you gotta be careful. You don't want to lift up on the board and crack that corner off. It's just so easy to damage this when you're trying to handle it and remove it. And even after you get it out, you have to be, I use two hands to turn it over every time, because the weight of the board just simply flexing will cause cracks too. It's just so prone to cracking and damage. I can't stress enough how important it is to handle this with the utmost care while you're trying to work on it. I don't need the video cable. We'll get rid of that. We don't need the audio cable. I'll set that aside. Now we need to simply turn this upside down, because there's a screw that's yet to access from the underside, which is right there. This one's already out, and I think that's the only pieces of hardware that hold it in. The rest of them are these little plastic standoffs. So I'm going to get this turned over, and we'll kind of come back here and get this out on camera. Okay, so I don't have it completely on the upside down, just sitting right now on the tube face. And there's one screw here that we have to unscrew, which is here. And that's mostly to keep the flyback secure in the frame. And yep, who'd have guessed that would have happened? We'll get that later. Now it's just down to getting these little plastic standoffs out. And like I say, you just kind of squeeze them. It'll be self-explanatory. You just kind of squeeze them and pop them out. So we'll go through here very carefully. Actually, we don't need to do that one. Just these. This one. Don't push them through all the way, just where they pop out a little bit. There we go. There we go. Got it. Got it. And got it. Okay, now I think that's all of them. Make sure they're all out. Yep, now we can take this and kind of set it back down. Make sure we don't crush any wires or anything. And then we should be able to simply extricate this from the right, because that front left corner has that little area where the board goes into to seat it for security. So we should be able to simply lift this off. Oh, no, that screw has to come out completely. So this screw over here with the ground strap has to come out completely. I'm not sure why I didn't realize that, but it's been a while since I worked on one of these. And there we go. It's loose, and we can disconnect the yoke. There we go. And there's one more little wire wrap we have to undo here. There we go. Oh, another one here under the yoke. It's everywhere. So use two hands whenever you move this or do anything with it. Always try to use two hands whenever possible, because you want to support it in every way that you can. And anode wire also wrapped through, and yoke. So you have to go through this every time you want to hook it up and test it and disconnect it and hook it back up again. It's just one big nightmare. So there we have it. 20EZ removed. I'm going to set it down on the chair here. Now let's take this and set this down. Okay. And this out of the way. And again, you want to support this thing because it's heavy on the right with the flyback, and it's heavy on the left with the big voltage regulator heatsink. It's actually not a regulator, it's a MOSFET, because the voltage regulator is actually inside here by the B+ pot. I'll show you that here shortly. So I support it with two hands, and I snagged my iron here somehow. Here's that screw that fell out. Okay. Now we don't need this. I'm going to take this and set this back down here. Alrighty. Now, let's get the camera on the overhead and we'll go over some of the stuff here we need to look at. Okay, I gotta plug the camera in. Don't want the battery to die. Alright. Oop. Well, here we go. So now that we have this out, I'm gonna turn my fan on here real quick. Now that we have this out, oh man, we got some rusty resistors here, but it's just the casing, so it'll probably still be okay. Straighten some of this stuff out. Okay, that's a little better. Alright, how's the back of this look? The back looks fine there. Okay, so now, when it comes to this, support it both sides again. Now we can remove these posts and just set them aside. This one here you kind of have to remove by taking the little piece out here. There we go. There we go. This one here in the middle. This one over here has another one of these stupid deals, so let's do this one here first. There we go. Now, when you go to put this back in, you really don't want to just push, push that one down, push that one down. You want to kind of use both hands and do it all at one time. Because again, the board can flex and crack, and you don't want that. And I think someone's reflowed the flyback or something. Probably trying to fix this, because those look like garbage, those solder joints. So you got to pull this little tab out of here to get these out. And on this chassis, you don't want to force anything. If it's not going, give it some time, little finesse. You don't want to manhandle or anything like that on this, because you'll crack it, and then you'll be hating life. You go to hook it back up and your collapse is still there, and yeah, trust me, it's not a fun time. But I think what will be fun is I'm gonna do the cap kit in real time here, because I want you to see that I'm guaranteed there's going to be a couple of caps that have leaked or are bad. There has to be. And all right, so before we move on here, I'm going to remove, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to remove the wires here for the power cord, because it just gets in our way and tangled around everything, and we don't need it in our way. While I'm waiting for the iron to heat up, though, I'm going to take a look at some things here. Let's look around here for broken solder joints. And just give this, if you guys see anything, yell out at the screen so I can see. I think someone's replaced this cap, because there's Fluxol on the leads as opposed to everything else. Yeah, I don't see anything that leaps out at me. The bottom of this looks fairly good. Yeah, other than these giant blobs of solder on the flyback pins, I'm not seeing anything immediately like broken solder joints, or because our vertical transistors are right here, and these solder joints are actually good, so it's not a broken solder joint problem. I'm confident that it's caps. It's, unless the board's been worked on before and they cracked it, it's almost always caps. So I think it'll be, what's this here? Evidence of reworking the, oh, that's some type of thermal compound. Well, I don't see anything visibly wrong on this, so we'll just go ahead and probably just cap it and reflow it and kind of cross our fingers. But let's go over some things here. So right here is our B plus pot. Let's zoom in a bit. Right here is our B plus pot, and I believe it's supposed to be 108 volts. I'm going to look this up here. Let's see. I believe it's supposed to be 108, and because it's been so long since I've worked on this, I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me. Yep, 108. So to check your B plus, there is, you go to the frame here, anywhere on the metal frame for ground, and right here there's a post B plus BC. Your positive lead goes there. That's how you check your B plus. So it should be 108. Now let's say your voltage is low. Let's say your B plus is like 90 volts or something, and you turn your B plus pot and nothing happens. It's 90 volts, 90 volts. No matter how you turn that, right here, this little IC back here, that's your voltage regulator, and it's almost guaranteed to be faulty if you can't adjust to B plus. Replace your voltage regulator, step number 1. So this is actually a MOSFET, or power transistor they call it, but this is your actual voltage regulator right here, this black long IC here. So that's that. I believe this is your horizontal centering pot, and the actual width coil doesn't do anything. It's been so long since I've worked. It's been so long since I've worked on one. I don't think that the coil actually does anything. I think this actually, is our vertical centering pot. I think that centers your vertical, and there's a mod you can do to put a jumper here to jumper vertical position. I'm gonna have to play around with it, because, you know, don't quote me. We'll try some adjustments later, but I'm pretty positive that this doesn't do anything. And this is our vertical centering, and you have to adjust your horizontal hold to move your H position. And that's this right here. There's your H hold pots right there. So, yeah. Oh no, I'm wrong. There's an H center right here. See, this shows you how long it's been since I worked on one of these. Horizontal centering pots right there. So you turn that pot to center your horizontal position, and I'm 99% sure this is your vertical centering pot, and this doesn't do anything. So Yeah, and we'll have to play that by ear and do some testing afterward. But this does operate and work. We just need to figure out what's going on with the collapse, and I'm pretty sure it's just going to come down to caps. So let's get this. Okay, well, here's your horizontal output transistor. This is your horizontal output transistor. This is your power MOSFET, if you want to call it that. This is your voltage regulator. You got your B plus pod, your fuse. There's actually, does this one have 2 fuses or just 1? Yeah, the main input AC fuse, and this fuse over here, which is 300 milliamps, which is like the G07, where it's part of the horizontal circuit, has its own separate fuse. So this is your main input fuse. Like if you hook it up to non-isolation transformer or something like that, this is the fuse that blows if the horizontal circuit has an issue. So just like a G07. But that's all working. So, you know, we can, as a matter of fact, I have no idea how to do a light bulb test on this chassis. But I'm assuming that we can apply the same logic that we use for everything else and remove the collector of the HOT and do it like we do for a G07. So let's try that. I mean, we're all about experimentation here, and again, take all this with a grain of salt. Your mileage may vary. Don't use this as a tutorial, even though it sounds like a tutorial. If you don't know what you're doing, don't try this at home. Okay, our AC connector is disconnected, so let's just get this out of our way so it doesn't cause us grief. We'll solder it back in later. Put that up here. Oh, sorry. Alrighty. Okay, so let's disconnect this yellow wire off of our HOT. Well, another stupid clip here. I gotta figure out how to... I've never seen so many clips in my life. Okay. So let's remove our yellow wire off our HOT. And if you're wondering how to test this HOT, it's going to be just like every other HOT out there. This is a bottle cap version though, so let's go ahead and just test it so we can verify here in the sake of completion. So meter in diode mode, negative lead on the screw head. We should have a 0.5 voltage drop to, I believe, each leg. 0.490 and 0.518. So that HOT is good. We already know that because the chassis operates. Now when it comes to our little MOSFET thing over here, I believe we have to go, let's see, base as the red, and are we going to have, I think, 0.5 and 1.0? Okay, 0.5. Okay, 0.5 to each one. Okay, so that's what you should get. Collector is the middle one, the emitter is the outside, 0.5, 0.5. We know it's working because, again, the monitor operates, it's just in collapse. So that's what a good one of those should read, just for reference. So I think we're just going to go straight to capping this after we do our light bulb test. So how would we do this? So we can just do this like we normally would. We can hook to the connection of our B+, which is here. Let's grab a couple more leads for our meter. Go to volts DC, and positive lead will also go to here. Now it's very possible that we're probably going to have to go off the B+ resistor. I think actually, you know what? We might have to go off the B+ resistor. But let's just see what this does. We probably have to end up going off of this thing. This is our B+ resistor right there. So let's put, in the sake of curiosity here, let's just see what this does. This may not do anything. We're probably going to have to go with, well, is this ground? Is this ground? Where's my negative lead? Right here in my hand. Is this ground? Yeah, but that's okay. We're gonna go here with it. As soon as I can find where my other black lead went, who knows where it is. We're gonna use 2 reds. So we'll hook this to ground here. And volts DC. Alright, so I'm assuming, just in case we do get high voltage, I'll put the anode cap up here out of the way. Actually, I'm going to take this and kind of suction cup it down to the... Oh, that won't work. It's got too much thermal grease on it. Okay, over there. All right. So, in theory, this should work. If not, we're going to have to attach I think probably to this side of the resistor, but let's just see what this does. Oh, you know what? I'm an idiot. We removed our power connection. Oh, I should have done this before I took the wires off. Come on, guys, you're supposed to look out for me here. Come on. You can't let me do something like that. You left me here looking like a fool. He looking like a fool. Okay, now let's grab our power supply here again. Or technically it's an isolation transformer, but okay, now everything is hooked up now. I've never done this before, so it might help to hook up our ground here. I'll go over here with this one. I've never done this before, so follow with me here, if you will, and join in the knowledge of whether or not this works. 1, 2, 3. It does indeed work. And we're getting 107 volts. Well, what do you know? Now, I do want to say that when you adjust your B+ on this chassis, you do not ever want to use a metal screwdriver, because you can short out. This is the type of pot that can short out the bottom element with the top, and if you go sideways you can short that out. You'll take out your voltage regulator and you'll be hating life. So never ever use a metal driver to adjust this B+ pot. So look at that. How do you do I'm so excited. How do you do a light bulb test on a Sanyo 20EZ? There you go. Take the yellow wire off the HOT, connect your light bulb across the B+ test point to ground, and turn it on. I mean, again, your mileage may vary. Take this with a grain of salt. This is not a tutorial, even though it may look like one. Disclaimer, don't do this if you don't know what you're doing. So we'll try it again here. 1, 2, 3. Light bulb comes on. We had no high voltage, so you wouldn't expect it to with the HOT out of circuit. And it should be 108 volts. We're at 107, but again, I'm sure these caps are no good, so we're going to leave it there. Not going to bother with adjusting it. Now, the question is our filter cap still energized? With our light bulb hooked up and draining the circuit, it should not have any voltage in it. But we're going to go ahead and be thorough here, and we're going to disconnect all this and then verify that our filter cap doesn't have any stored voltage in it before we kind of proceed on. So we don't need this anymore. So we'll get rid of this. And we don't need this anymore. Or this anymore. And let's flip this over. Again, always two hands. Never allow this thing to flex, or you will not enjoy life after you hook it back up. Okay, so let's grab the screwdriver and let's just go across the filter cap here and see if anything happens. Nope, nothing. So as expected, the light bulb on the circuit drains it. This is a non-auto discharging chassis, so the filter cap can very well, there's no bleeder resistor, so the filter cap can very well store power. So, well, with that done, verification is now complete on how to do that. Let's hook our HOT back up so we don't forget later, because it's guaranteed I will if I don't do it now. And this is not a chassis you can just quickly take back out and do this. Although this area is exposed, I probably wouldn't have to take it out to do this, but I don't want to have to do it at all later while it's on the tube. And we'll put these wires back in here. Okay, I think now there's nothing left to do but really just do a cap kit. So for the sake of completion, I realize I say so all the time. Watching back these videos and doing editing, so we need to do this. So I say so all the time. So if you hear me say it again, just kind of slapped me across the head or something. Hey, cut it out. Let's see if we can find a cap kit in here. I ordered one, but I'm pretty sure I've got one here. If nothing else, we can piece one together. So, that's not it. This is all Polo stuff. AR2 boards, filter caps, lots of 100 microfarads. Here's one here, Ian Kellogg. Here's a partial kit from Ian Kellogg. We'll grab that. Here's another partial stuff. That's audio board. That's an easy Y. Here's a complete kit from Ian Kellogg with audio. Okay, I guess we can use this if worse comes to worse, so I'll set that aside. This is all kind of a catch-all. Here's another complete kit. Sanyo 20. I got two of them. I think somebody gave me those. If I don't recall who it was, so if you see this and you say, hey, I'm the one that gave you that, I appreciate it, and I'm sorry I forgot who you were. Alright, so there's two complete kits, but do I have one in here? I don't think that I do. Panorex Polo 5000, 2515C 9200s. What's this? 7200, 9200 Polos, Cortex MTC 900, Cortex, what is that? KTN 2001, Polo 7000, U4600, Geo 7, U2500 DX. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't have any here, but that's fine. We've got what we're looking for, so I just don't know if any of these are 105. Some of these are probably 85 degree, but we'll go with what we got. So we'll just grab one of these, put this back in here, and let's get cracking. Always two hands. So, nope, I did it again. Thanks for slapping me. And when we get to it, there is this capacitor here, C410. This can be installed two ways. And if you install it in the wrong direction, you will have vertical collapse. So if you see here, you've got the white line there and the white line there. You can install the cap like this, where it's negative, positive, or you can install it where it's negative, positive. If you install it where it's negative, positive, and opposite of this one, then you'll have collapse. So you want to make sure and pay attention when you go to put this in, you put it back in the same way that it came out. Now I do see evidence of leakage right there, so let's just take this one out of here and start with it and see what it looks like underneath this thing. Oh, I found our collapse. That leg, boys and girls, here's the cause of our collapse right here. There you go. I'm not even sure how good I can make that look. That is rough. Holy cow. The leg stayed right here in the in the chassis. So I did it again. I said so. I don't know why I do that. Well, if you go look around this thing and you don't see any obvious broken traces or cracks or something like that, 99% sure bad caps. Case in point. Man, that's bad. I gotta save that for a thumbnail or something. But, whew, man. That is part of your vertical circuit right there. And if you look at it, here are the two pins for our vertical deflection. And look, it goes right there to that, right there. So basically our vertical yoke wasn't even in circuit. With this cap being completely open, our vertical winding was out of circuit, like it wasn't even connected. That's why we had collapse. So we're going to go ahead and cap this, reflow it, and I'll bet you dollars to donuts this will end up working just fine. Oh man! Hang on, I got to get a picture of that. Wow. I've seen some caps go bad in my time, but man, that is a good one. So, wow. Okie dokie, Smokey. Let's see if I can get that out of there. It should come right out, yep. Just disintegrated. Again, you see here as I do this, I'm using two hands. Every time I touch it or turn it over or do anything, you always use two hands. And now we're going to try to clean this. Because when you pick this up only using one side, the weight of this heatsink will bend the board and you'll get cracks. Did I say that this thing can crack easy? Have I said that yet? I'm going to put a little alcohol on the board there and just see if I can clean this. That's caked on there pretty good. Some type of glue on here, probably from the factory to keep the cap from moving around, but that's probably about as best as I can get with just a quick scrubbing. But that is an issue, so again, two hands. Now what is this is a 160 volt 100, so we're looking for, here we go. And again, make sure you put it in the correct way and the way that it came out. So that should be correct, just like that. Two hands, turn it over, and solder it in. Alrighty. I think I may have said so a couple more times there. I didn't hear anybody complain. I didn't feel a smack upside the head, so. And we're a little crooked. That's better. I like to have all my caps straight up and down. That's pretty good there. So, okay, now it's just going to come down to doing all the other caps on this thing. Should I do this in real time, or should I just speed it up? Because, you know, I think what I'm going to do is just speed this up, and I'll do the cap kit on camera, but I'm probably going to speed it up and I'll slow down and feature something if I find another cap that's so corroded like this or bad. I'll just probably slow down and show that. But the only ones that really go bad like that are this vertical one and this other power cap over here, which as a matter of fact, this thing is loose as a goose also. I don't know if you can see that. Look at that. It's not the solder joints. The solder joints are secure. Let's take this one out, see what this does. Oh, I can tell you right now, it's no good. Oh, yep, look at that. Holy crap! Two of them! Wow! Two of them like that. That's insane. I wonder what the board looks like with this one. Not as bad. That's not as bad. So, yikes. Let's get this out of here. Man. that should be another 160 volt, yeah. That's crazy. I'm surprised this was even working. I'm not sure how this was even operating with that cap completely out of circuit. And that's a high voltage cap. High voltage is a relative term, but that's part of the horizontal deflection circuit over here. So that's just crazy. Two hands. Can't stress that enough. So there we have it. That's also why I didn't bother with setting the B+, because I knew it was going to be totally different once we get all this done. So now I need to go through and just recap everything else and get to it. So I'm going to do just a time lapse here of the whole cap kit. I don't expect to see any other ones like that, like this, and we'll just kind of do a time lapse, get through this whole thing, and then I'll go through and probably do a reflow in real time so you can see what to hit. Again, reflows are fairly self-explanatory. Just anything and everything that looks like it's dull or something that's a very thin solder joint or might need reflowed, that's really just what you have to reflow. Like, I want to remove some of this solder here that looks like it's low melt and put fresh solder on there, because these are balls. They should be yeah, a nice bead. Not a bead. I've described it in the past as being like a nice fat dime, but we're not welding, we're soldering. So I'll show you later what it should look like. But for now, yeah, let me just cue the time lapse and go through and do all this stuff. I'm also going to have to do the audio board here, because this kit comes with, this is all the stuff for the audio board, all the caps and the two amplifiers. So for yeah, I guess it's just mono, but I'm not sure really what these are. They're different part numbers. I think one's an amp and one is, I'm not sure really, quite honestly, but regardless. So I'm gonna go through here, cue the time lapse, and let's see how this goes. Well, and just like that, it's all done. The chassis actually is pretty remarkably clean. I didn't do any dusting on it, and it pretty much looks very clean. The neck board's a little bit of a different story. I'm going to see if I can actually probably just spray this down with some alcohol and just kind of do this. Not sure if it'll make a bit of difference at all, but at least we'll try here. Let that dry. The backside needs a couple of spots here hit. I'll just hit them real quick. Again, when it comes to the reflow, you're just looking for anything that's thin or kind of pretty much not shiny anymore, or anything that you deem that needs reflowed. Go ahead and just reflow it. And if you're happy with it, that's all that matters. I think that's going to be good for our neck board now. As far as this goes, you saw that I have to remove one of the heat sinks in order to get the screwdriver on the screw to replace both of these ICs, and this turned out very nice. Nice and clean, and all done. So the audio board is quick and easy. The only caps that were leaking, worth noting, were these two caps here, which we've already shown. Everything else, a couple of them were mildly leaking, but nothing really that bad that it needed to be showcased. But quick and easy on this, and we're all done. So now we just need to pretty much do our reflow on here. Now I talked about taking some of the solder off of this, but because it's working, I'm going to leave it. I don't want to mess with it if it's working. There's no real reason to. So when it comes to the bottom side of this, there's really not much that needs reflowed. You're looking for any high heat areas, anything that's overly heated up and has oxidized pads. That's what we're looking for. And anything that's pretty thin. And just use your best judgment. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes to go through and reflow stuff that needs hit. Just be careful you don't fling off solder. Like, we can go ahead and reflow our vertical ICs even though they were good. So we don't run the risk of having collapse in the future for something that's not cap related. And just going through here, hitting the stuff that looks like it needs hit, and that's about it. There's no secret to the reflow or anything. This all looks pretty good. I'm surprised with the amount. So it's the thermistor here for your degauss circuit is almost always burned up. The fact that this one's not burned up, the fact that the monitor doesn't have some screen burn on it, and the fact that this is so clean makes me think that this is a very low hour 20EZ, and it very well could be. However, with evidence like this, it's hard to, you got two sides of the coin. So is it low hour or is it not low hour? I don't know. But someone's been messing with it before because that flyback cage is missing. And we don't need the inverter that's on top of it. And we'll go ahead and reflow our video input header pins, because these like to crack. And I do want to mention that the video input header pins on the 20EZ, because it's got inverted colors, it's not RGB. I think it's GBR. So I think that's good for our reflow. Yeah. So when you hook up the connector for the video, it's actually, I think it's GBR. Let's grab this. So here's the connector that hooks to the chassis, and if you look at it, it's set up as GRB. Okay, so it's, instead of RGB, it's GRB. So they swapped the red and the green because it's inverted colors. So when you go to test this, if you have a TPG, you want to hook it up to where it's RGB on the output, but at the input to the chassis it's GRB. And otherwise, let's clean this up, and I think we're done. Don't press too hard, you'll crack the board. Did I mention how easy it is to crack this? This hardly doesn't even need any cleaning, it just needs cleaning off the flux of the caps I changed out. It really is kind of remarkable. Very light here. And I think that's probably about all I need to do, honestly. Okay, and we'll get one last go over here. And I think we're going to be in business. So now it's time to put this all back together. Hopefully it works right off the bat. So we need to reinstall these, and if I recall correctly, I don't remember. So there's 3 of these, and I thought they were on this side. Let me go back. I have to go back and look at the footage because I don't remember where these go. Hang on a second. I don't know why I say hold on a second, because you're going to be there 1 second later anyway. It's just force of habit. Like if you were right here in front of me, I would of course say hang on a second, but because you're not, I guess, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm saying. Okay, so these 3 here with the little tab, 2 of them go here and 1 of them goes over here. So we have to install these like, oh crap, like so. So this one goes, we'll put here. This one we'll put here. And again, you want to give this bracing when you do this because you'll crack it. And I'll put this one there. So those 3 go there. Now we've got these 3. 1 goes here. 1 goes here in the middle. Let's brace that. Okay. Another one goes here, I think. And then this corner goes into that edge to prop it up. So that should be, and the screw goes right there. That should be all of the tabs, and so now we have to get this back on the tube and see if it works. Well, here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is just get it in place. We're not going to attach any of the wires through any of the hold downs or anything. Right now we're just going to get this in place so we can secure it. Get our neck board in the right spot. Get our remote board over here in the right spot. Move this over. Now we're not going to snap it in place either. Well, yeah, I guess we'll snap it in place because I don't want this to slide or move around or arc or anything like that. So we're just going to try to set this in place here. And you got to try and line up your standoffs. And when you don't push any of them in until you got them all lined up to where they need to go. And of course our corner is not in. There's our corner. There's that standoff. There's that one. There's that one. There's... Make sure we get this one in there. There it is. Make sure that one's in there. There it is. Okay. Now when we go to push these down, you want to use 2 fingers and put it on either side of these posts and just snap it in place. There's that one. There's that one. Now you know why I hate working on these, because of how tricky this is. I got this middle one here giving me grief. Not long enough. Can I wiggle it? I don't want to bend the board like this. Never do this. There we go. Okay, finger on each side. Oh, make sure the rest are lined up. Okay. Why aren't you popping in there? I hate these boards. I absolutely hate them. Okay, there's that one. There's that one. This middle one. There we go. Okay. One left over here. Why you don't want to snap in, I don't know. There we go. Okay, standoffs are in. Let's get our DAG wire, and we'll have to reconnect that. See if I can show you here. So we want to feed this up through here and take our DAG, put it through the hole here, which you can't see. Try and do it the other way here. Feed it through the hole. Wrap it around, reconnect it, and then reconnect the neck board. I put my thumb up from the bottom and my other thumb on top. You can't see it, but then I push evenly on the neck socket. There we go. Let's hook up our yoke, which is... Where did the darn yoke connector go? It's caught up over by the audio amp. Okay. So let's hook the yoke up right here. Don't press too hard. You don't want to crack the board. Did I mention how easy it is to crack yet? Okay. Now let's hook up our anode to the tube here. And you just fold the cover back, and you slide one probe in and then the other one in. And I don't like these because I can't fold them back far enough to be able to. So you want to hook one in and then push it so the other probe goes in, and then you want to have both of these inside the hole spread out. So you don't want to have one in, not the other, or there. See, that's secure. Or it won't stay on there. So we got our anode, neck, yoke, ground. The remote board is over here. And again, this just slides in here like so. And then we install the screw. Let's make sure none of our pots are broken. Those all survived. And it's very easy for these wires to break when you hook all this up, so you want to make sure that you don't break the wires off of there. Now our audio amplifier, which we're not going to be able to test here on the test bench, but we'll go ahead and put it back in here. And put our screw in. Okay, JD over here. JC over here. JB right here. And degauss, we don't need to hook up, but we'll hook it up anyway. There we go. And I think that's it. I don't need this ground wire anymore. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it. We got our anode, neck, yoke, ground, remote. We just need power and video. We do need to hook up our screw here for our ground, which the ground is actually pretty terrible here. But if we put this on here and rotate this so it's touching the part of the frame that's not corroded, it should be good. Okay. And we can verify that by putting our meter in continuity, touching the screw head, and then going to this wire here. Good, 0 ohms. Well, I think the only thing left to do is to fire it up. So I have to solder my wire back on here, which I can do from with this being installed. Alright, there's one. We'll give it a few seconds to solidify. Now let's do this other one. Alright, that is on there. I know you can't see it, but it's on there. It's secure on there. No problem. So we will flip this around. Again, this is just the power. No, this is the output to the speaker. This is the output to the speaker. This brown cable here is the input from the PCB for the audio. And then we had the video cable separately. I'm sorry, this is not power, this is the output to the speaker. That's what that is. Sorry, I think I said that incorrectly before. So, move that over. We'll set our isolation transformer up here. And I'm gonna have to do this a little bit janky here. Sorry about that. Shaky cam. Because it's the amateur channel. So we'll plug in our video cable, which is reflowed, so that's good. Now on the TPG, dip switch number 4 has to be flipped for inverted colors. The Sanyo monitors have inverted colors, which I mentioned, which is why it's GRB. So it's set to inverted colors, standard res, turn it on. We're plugged in right here. So I'm going to turn off the fan just in case something goes kablooey. We can find where the smoke comes from. And that being said, anode, neck, yoke, ground, remote, power, and video. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Nothing. Oh. Whew. I got scared for a minute. I forgot to plug in the input for the transformer. I'm telling you, sometimes you get a little bit overzealous, and even when you count to 7, you forget the actual power. Okay, so now we're connected. All right, let's try again here. Take 2. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good high voltage. Wow, okay, screen pot. Well, that's not good. We've got retrace lines. We may have a faulty flyback. Gosh darn it. We either have a bad focus plate or G2 plate or a bad flyback because we have retrace lines with the flyback. The flyback, that's with the brightness 100% turned down. So we still have issues. God, it's never easy, is it? Oh, well, hang on, that's weird. If I turn off the video signal, well, something's burning. Whew. Something smells like it's burning. And if I turn off the video signal, it may just be because it hasn't ran for more than 5 seconds in a long time. But see, there's the retrace lines. I can turn the retrace lines down roughly there. If I turn the video signal back on, now see, I got to adjust our H hold here. Oh, no, it's my video cable. Huh. Oh yeah, something's wrong in the video circuit because look, we're missing half the color bars here. We should have all the color bars and we don't. If I turn it down, see, we're missing. Yeah, see, I should have the rest of the color bars. This is just a black screen here. And I don't have any red. What happens if I turn off the inversion switch? Wherever my driver went. Yeah, that burning smell's gone. I think it hadn't run in so long that it had dust or dirt or something on a resistor that was burning off, because I don't smell that smell anymore. But we don't have any red. So that's see, there's my red. I don't have, but I still have these retrace lines. Something is still acting wonky here. And I wonder if it's that burned up resistor that we saw on the neck board. Yeah, something is odd here. If I turn off the inversion, I've got RGB. I know you can't see it. Actually, it's not RGB. It's actually what? GRB, I said. Something like that. But see, without a video signal, we don't get the retrace lines. With the video signal, we do. So there's something on the video circuit. Let me cycle. I want to cycle this switch to the other position. Yeah, with that service switch in the other position, you can see that's what that service switch in the other position. That's what I was saying earlier. That takes the vertical circuit out of the circuit. Now it's back in the norm position. See? So sometimes if you have collapse, don't overlook that selector switch for the test or service switch. But I got to figure out why we have retrace lines with the flyback turned completely down on the video circuit. So I wonder, there's got to be something else going on in this video circuit. And that's a bummer, because I think I've I don't think I've ever had to troubleshoot that before. We may have to make this video a two-parter, because that's the sub brightness. Yeah, see, if I turn the sub brightness down, it doesn't actually get rid of my problem here. Yeah, so there's something going on. It's got good focus. Well, I'm going to have to see if I can figure out what's happening here, and I'll have to cut away here and try and figure something out. When I find out what the problem is, I'll come back and I'll explain what I found. Well, after a little bit of research, I have found the problem, and it turns out that it's IC 401. This guy right there, that IC is bad, or was bad. You can see I have a socket there now. I have a spare parts board here over in the closet of doom. And I robbed the IC 401, put it in here in a socket, and voila. Now the refresh rate's a bit wonky there. Sorry about that, but problem solved. So we had 2 exploded caps that were causing collapse and other issues, who knows what, and however many caps probably bad. And then IC401, there's the original one. Boom, change that out. Golden. So if we go to RGB here, beautiful. I'm sorry about the, see, this camera is so cheap that I can't lock on the refresh rate. Maybe there, through the magic of putting my hand here. But beautiful RGB. I got everything adjusted, all the colors set. It could be a little bit more, need more tweaking once it gets in the cabinet, but yeah, IC401, imagine that. Flyback was good. I didn't think the flyback was the issue because when I turned the video signal off, the raster lines or the retrace lines went away. If the retrace lines were still there when you take the signal away, then it would be the flyback. But because they went away, I was skeptical of something in the video circuit, and IC401 was our culprit. So if you ever have that problem where you have the retrace lines that you saw there, no matter how far down you turn the screen pot, IC401. Convergence is good. We got good RGB. Convergence is good. And you gotta adjust H hold. I tweaked H hold a little bit to kind of get the image square in the screen, but yeah, I got roughly there's probably our limit. So H hold is that pot right there. That pot right there is the sub brightness. What in the world? I lost my sync again. Yeah, I gotta tweak that back the other way. There we go. Yeah. So you can't turn that too far or it goes crazy on you. Yeah, that black pot right there I talked about, like vertical position, that doesn't actually do anything, which I didn't think that it did. And I might be able to, I don't think the H coil does anything either, but we can try this. Now you have to be very careful when you're poking around in the 20EZ because the frame here is live, is hot. If you touch this frame with the HOT running, it'll zap you good. So you got to be careful and pay attention to what you're doing here on the 20EZ. And I can't get that stupid. The core is so far down there. There we go. Well, somebody has driven that. So there we go. Okay, is that changing our width here? I can't tell. It is. Well, maybe not. Yes, it is. Okay, so it does. The coil does work, and it's all the way down is the widest the image will go. So, okay, well, it does work. All right, so we have a fully working, resurrected, rebuilt Sanyo 20EZ, and we'll just. I mean, color bars are great. Can I make it go away again? Look at that. I don't know why it does that. That's weird. But you can see beautiful color bars and everything. So, resurrected. I don't know if I want to go bother to put it in the Mario Brothers machine now and do some testing and stuff, because this video is kind of already long as it is. Maybe I'll do a part 2 once I get the cabinet restored and show it off in the cabinet all adjusted. But for the scope of this video, we have a resurrected, complete, working, rusted 20EZ. So hopefully you learned something. I know I did. Make sure you comment down below, give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the adjustment and everything and the final reveal of the Mario Brothers cabinet once I get it all restored. And otherwise, yeah, thanks very much. Yep. Okay, well, thanks, and we'll see you next time.